Cruise captain reveals the best and worst cruise lines of 2025. Former cruise captains just leaked internal rankings that contradict everything you've been told about cruise lines. What passengers see and what crew members know are two completely different worlds. Today, we're exposing the truth from the bridge, starting with the absolute worst cruise lines that captains are warning their own families about, all the way up to the ones they'd actually sail themselves. Number 4 on this list had 8 people go overboard in 7 months. And the number 1 cruise line? They're doing something with their crew that no other line has the guts to try. Let's dive in. Coming in at the absolute bottom, Seabourn Cruise Line. I know, shocking, right? The ultra-luxury cruise line that charges $1,000 per night can't keep their own crew happy. Here's what you don't know. While passengers sip champagne in their suites, crew members rate Seabourn 3.2 out of 5 stars. That's the lowest in the entire industry. Only 44% of employees would recommend working there to a friend. Former officers describe a toxic culture where management refuses to communicate. Promotions are based on politics, not performance, and the luxury only applies if you're paying for a ticket. One former captain told me, the disconnect between what passengers experience and how crew are treated is criminal. They're running skeleton crews on these ships while charging premium prices. When your crew is miserable, guess what? Your service suffers, your safety protocols get sloppy, and eventually passengers notice. Next up, and this one hurts to say, Carnival Cruise Line. The fun ships aren't so fun anymore. They've got a catastrophic 1.4 out of 5 rating on Trustpilot. Out of 383 reviews, almost all are 1 star. But here's what's really happening behind those water slides and neon lights. Passengers are finding glass in their food. Not once, not twice, but multiple documented cases. The crew? They're being pushed to upsell you on everything while working in understaffed conditions. One crew member privately admitted they're told to push drink packages even when passengers say no 3 times. The CDC scores tell another story. While they're not failing inspections, they're consistently scoring in the low 90s when competitors hit perfect hundreds. But the real issue? Former captains say Carnival runs their ships like discount warehouses. Maximum passengers, minimum crew, squeeze every dollar. They're removing libraries from ships to install more bars. Think about that. Less reading, more drinking, more profit. One insider called it Walmart of the seas, and once you know what happens below deck, you can't unsee it. Now this is where things get dangerous. MSC Cruises. Beautiful ships, Mediterranean style, and the highest rate of passengers going overboard in the industry. 8 incidents in 7 months during 2024. That's not normal. That's a pattern. Here's what former MSC officers won't say publicly, but told me privately. Safety protocols exist on paper, but enforcement is inconsistent across their international fleet. Training varies wildly depending on which port you're hired from. The language barriers between crew members create dangerous miscommunications during emergencies. And those beautiful new ships, they're expanding so fast that experienced officers are being promoted before they're ready. One former bridge officer said, I was given command responsibilities I wasn't prepared for because they needed bodies. When you're growing that quickly, safety becomes a checkbox, not a culture. Those 8 overboard incidents, not accidents. System failures. Royal Caribbean. I bet you didn't see this coming. World's largest cruise ships, incredible amenities, and some seriously concerning patterns that the marketing team doesn't want you to know about. Symphony of the Seas scored 86 on their CDC inspection. That's 1 point away from failing. 1 point. The violations? Crew members handling ice with open wounds. Unreported illnesses in the kids' clubs. 57 separate violations that took months to fix. But wait, it gets worse. Icon of the Seas, their newest flagship, crew members call it the cursed ship. Engine room fires, power failures, propulsion problems, and a crew member died during operations. This isn't normal wear and tear. This is what happens when you build the biggest ships in the world, but don't invest in the infrastructure to maintain them. Former Royal Caribbean captains report incredible pressure to maintain schedules despite mechanical issues. Corporate doesn't want to hear about problems, one told me. They want on-time arrivals and happy Instagram photos. When you're pushing ships this hard, something's got to give. Usually it's safety. Here's where things start improving. Celebrity cruises. Not perfect, but solid. Cruise satisfaction leads the mainstream cruise industry at 4.2 out of 5 stars. 85% of employees would recommend it. That matters more than you think. Why? Because happy crew means better service, better safety, better everything. Celebrity invests in actual training, not just orientation videos. They promote from within based on merit. Their CDC scores average 94. Not spectacular, but consistent. No major incidents, no scandals, just reliable cruising. Former celebrity captains describe a company that actually listens to bridge concerns. When officers report issues, corporate responds. Not always perfectly, but they respond. One captain said, "I never felt pressured to compromise safety for schedule. In this industry, that's revolutionary." Disney Cruise Line. The mouse knows how to run a ship. CDC scores averaged 98.7, consistently among the highest in the industry. But here's what Disney does that nobody else has figured out. They treat families like families, including crew families. While other lines separate crew by nationality and pay them accordingly, Disney runs more egalitarian ships. The pay gaps exist, but aren't as extreme. The training is universal, not based on where you're from. Safety, impeccable. Former Disney captains report the strictest maintenance schedules in the industry. Something breaks, it gets fixed immediately, not at the next dry dock. They operate fewer ships, but operate them perfectly. One insider said, "Disney doesn't cut corners because they can't afford the headline, 'Child injured on Disney ship.' The only downside, you're paying Disney prices, but at least you're getting Disney standards." Virgin Voyages, the new kid that's embarrassing the established players. Best crew wages in the industry, bar none. Waiters make $3,225 per month. The same position at Costa Cruises? $760. That's not a typo. Free crew Wi-Fi, adult-only cruising that actually means adult-only, and passenger satisfaction scores of 94.8, the highest in the industry for megaships. But here's the real secret. Virgin treats crew like humans, not machinery. Former Virgin officers describe Richard Branson personally walking through crew areas, asking about working conditions. When crew complained about food quality, Virgin hired new chefs for crew dining, not passenger dining, crew dining. One captain told me, "It's the only cruise line where I'd want my kids to work." The only negative? Limited itineraries and smaller fleet, but what they do better than anyone. And the #1 cruise line according to captains and crew? Norwegian Cruise Line. Surprised? You shouldn't be. 7 ships with perfect 100 CDC scores in 2024, the highest average in the industry at 98.5 for 2025. Safety isn't just good, it's exceptional. But here's what nobody's talking about. Norwegian just did something unprecedented. They gave $80 million in stock to 66,000 crew members. Every single crew member is now a shareholder. When the company does well, they do well. That's not a bonus, that's ownership. Former Norwegian captains consistently praise the company's maintenance protocols. When something needs fixing, it gets fixed. No questions about cost, no pressure to delay. One captain with 30 years experience said, "Norwegian is the only major cruise line that puts safety genuinely first." World Travel Awards winner, World Cruise Awards winner, and here's the kicker. They're doing all this while charging less than Disney or Virgin. They figured out the secret. Take care of your crew, maintain your ships, and passengers will notice. Are they perfect? Number. Crew still work 7 days a week for months on end. Accommodations are still shared bunks below the waterline. But compared to the industry standard, Norwegian is setting the bar that others are failing to reach. Now let me tell you something every captain knows but won't say publicly. The cruise industry has a massive problem. They're building bigger ships, sailing more passengers, but the infrastructure, human and mechanical, can't keep up. The crews are exhausted, the maintenance is deferred, and the only thing keeping disasters from happening daily is the professionalism of officers who care more about safety than their own careers. You want to cruise safe? Look at CDC scores, not marketing brochures. Ask about crew retention rates, not water slides. Check how old the ship is and when it was last refurbished, not how many restaurants it has. The best cruise lines aren't necessarily the biggest or the flashiest. They're the ones where captains would put their own families. Norwegian, Virgin, and Disney pass that test. Royal Caribbean, MSC, and especially Carnival, those captains are booking their families elsewhere. The truth is, you can have an amazing cruise on any line if you get lucky. Good weather, good crew rotation, ship just out of dry dock. But why gamble? The difference between the best and worst isn't about the size of the ship or the number of pools. It's about whether the company treats safety and crew welfare as investments or expenses. Norwegian treats them as investments. Carnival treats them as expenses. And that difference, it could save your life. If this opened your eyes to what really happens at sea, smash that subscribe button and comment Cruise Smart below. Share this with anyone planning a cruise. You might just save them from a disaster at sea. And remember, the best cruise is a safe cruise, and now you know which lines actually deliver.